a magazine called Steppin Out.
Steppin Out magazine.
That's Steppin Out magazine.
Huge crowd roar for Steppin Out.
And Steppin Out magazine.
Tell us, viewers, what do you think of this weirdness? It's maddening, isn't it? I'm everywhere. She's holding ejaculate.
Andrew, you still on the air? A pop icon, and just an icon in general, a legend, a legend.
Wait a minute.
No.
Wait a minute. This is so cool. Wait a minute. This is so cool. I mean, all that, the Kermit the Frog and the thing and the booms and the pages turning and people going around. This is so cool, man. You know, and we're doing it on a computer. You got to understand something. You know, I come from the dinosaur age, and I'm sitting here, man, talking to you on a computer, talking to billions
all
of people
over the
around
world.
the world.
Russia, China.
You know, hey, everybody, how you doing? Hey, everybody. How you doing?
And in case you don't know who I'm talking to, it's the great Ben Vereen. It really are, and you can't say it enough. When I say an American treasure,
thank you.
You really are a treasure.
Thank you.
One of the last Mohicans in your genre, a song and dance man, a great actor, something you just don't see anymore. And you look amazing.
Thank you. I thank you very much. I like that very much.
You look like you did, as I remember you in the early 70s, on stage doing Pippin. You don't look any different.
You're hired. Thank you.
You really do.
You know, life has been good. You know, even with the ups and downs, life is good.
You've had a lot of ups and downs,
yes,
and
we all have. You know, and the fact that we're here today,
Yeah.
in the now, in the presence, is a blessing. You know, and we got to celebrate the now, because the now is good, very good.
Your story could be a book. It could be a movie.
It will be.
Is it going to be? Well, I want to
Yes,
ask. I want to ask you about that.
Yes.
But before we get into that, let me just ask you how you feel about yourself, because a lot of people like me consider you, as I said, a treasure and an icon. But how do you see yourself?
How do I see myself?
Is it hard to look at yourself from that point of view?
I'm still a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I'm thankful for the accolades, but I'm still working on the building, and I'm excited about that, because if I was complacent in being, you know, who I am, then, you know, so my mother used to have a saying. She said, "Don't stand still; they'll throw dirt on you, because they'll think you're dead." So I try to keep moving. I have a very good teacher. His name is Luigi in New York City, and Luigi has a motto. His motto is never stop moving. He's like 88
What kind
years
of
old.
teacher?
Jazz teacher,
Okay.
dancer. Everyone goes to Luigi, and he has his motto is never stop moving. So we got to keep moving, perpetually in motion. So, you know,
Then I should have been dead years ago.
No. You're still moving, so you're still here. You're still alive.
I
You see?
barely move.
Yeah, you know, and what's so great? I want to say this at the top.
Yes.
You know, I have a CD coming out, and it's so weird. You know, your show's called Stepping Out, and my album is called Stepping Out Live with
I meant to
Vereen.
tell you that we may have to sue you.
Yes,
because I think we own the rights to the title.
Oh my God!
No, that is great.
Yeah.
Didn't Liza Minnelli have an album called Stepping Out, or she did a Broadway show called Stepping Out?
Yeah, she did Stepping Out. Everybody steps
Right.
out.
Everybody's
stepping out.
That's
You know,
right.
and it's so wonderful that stepping out now. Now step up. Step up, people.
Well, you stepped up to the plate coming in here tonight.
Thank you.
Very brave of you.
My honor.
When did you first realize that you could entertain?
Ooh. You know, I never thought about that. It just came natural. It's something that I enjoyed doing. My mother got wind of me just sort of entertaining around the house, you know, singing and around the house and trying to dance. I had a godmother named Mary Eddy who was a missionary, and she taught me my first song, and I just loved it. And I've been blessed. Before I have the angels that come along in my life and say, this way, this way, this way. People like Dr. Rachel Yoakum at the High School of Performing Arts who said, you know, come this way. And that was the start of it all.
The high school from the movie Fame.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Was there one person that told you you could do it, that inspired you, that made you feel like, you know what, I'm gifted, I'm special?
There have been many. It's hard. It would be unjust for me to say just one. There have been many who've encouraged me to keep going, and I thank them all. I thank them. As a matter of fact, each day, because we all need encouragement every day. Every day.
It takes a lot of confidence.
It does.
To do what you do on the level you do it at, to do one-man shows. I can't imagine standing on stage and performing like that. The confidence level is off the charts.
Yeah, well, I have a saying: it's not me, it's that which is within me.
Mm-hmm.
That does the work. I just show up and enjoy the ride with everyone else.
You're being modest though, because obviously the work that you must have put in, is ridiculous.
You do the work.
Yeah.
Once you've read the manual, now let go.
Yeah.
And trust.
And it's got to be a God-given talent. I mean, we all want to be a Ben Vereen. We all, a lot of people have.
Oh, please,
that,
no. Listen, there's one is enough, please. Please.
But we all want to, everybody has, especially in this day and age where you can be a star overnight because of shows like this, the internet. People become stars in a 24-hour period. But to be a true star, I mean, you look at someone like Snooki today. She's a household name. But what does she do? She can't do anything. A Ben Vereen doesn't exist anymore. You don't see people like you anymore. I think that's what makes you so unique.
But
you
sad.
don't.
I hate to think that.
I think
there's many talents out there that are coming along this way. Yes, I do.
Like you?
Yes, I think they are. You don't understand something that I come from a time when we put in a different type of work.
Mm-hmm.
I had all these guys around me, I had all the cats, as they say, around me,
right,
and encouraging me. And I could go to each show and watch and learn. And I think you have that today. You have it with my godson, Usher. He's out there.
You're a godson,
yes,
right?
Yes, he's out there, and he's doing the good work. So you got to hold up that banner.
How did you become Usher's godfather?
Well, that's another story. That'll be in the book. That's my daughter. My daughter, Karan, brought him to me at a very young age. And we started working together. He took all my videos and started watching them. And one day I came down to Atlanta. I was working with him. And he met me in the airport. And he had a Jeep. And my daughter was with him. He just came out of the studio. Mm-hmm. And he said, Pops. He goes, Pop, I want you to hear something. He played a song called You Make Me Wanna. And I told my daughter, I said, stand back. She said, why, Dad? I said, he's going to blow up. And there he is.
Wow.
So I've got to give people like Usher, their props, as they say.
Have you guided his career? Have you given?
No, I haven't guided his career. I've guided his art. In a sense, I gave him the foundation in which to build upon, I hope, and a place to come back to for resource when he needs it. When he feels like he's too far out there, he can always come back to the foundation. And I'm hoping that's what I instilled in him.
What a great mentor to have.
No, thank you.
Really. Let's talk about roots.
Okay.
Because we have you for an hour, and there's so much to talk about.
Okay.
You could spend days going over your career. I remember watching Roots on TV and being so compelled, so enthralled with what I was seeing. I was in grammar school at the time, and I couldn't wait for the next night. It was a several-part series, and I just couldn't wait for the next episode. Glued to the TV like all of America was at the time. Can you tell me about that period and what was going on in your life while that was airing, and what a big event that was? You talk to people today. You can talk to kids today, and they'll say, Roots, what's Roots? And I find it hard to believe that they don't show it in schools as part of the curriculum.
Well, that's what we want. And I think a lot of schools are doing that now. Right. But let's give honor to those who are honors due, and that's Alex Haley.
Right.
Alex Haley for having the vision and writing the book. To ABC, have the courage to air it in a time when it wasn't fashionable to air projects dealing with African-American history. And to Stan Margulies and David Woper, who had the courage to back it and say yes to Alex Haley, and all the players who made up the Alex Haley story, all of us who are part of that wonderful legacy. Let's give honor and praise to them.
Cicely Tyson, the cast.
The cast is amazing. And the reason why I particularly wanted to do it, because when I was coming up, there wasn't much history on African American.
Right.
When I grew up in schools, it was said, you were a slave and Lincoln freed you, and that was it. And now if you go to college, you can dig deeper. But here was a man who went back to Africa, who found his heritage and found the rich soil there and brought it back for the world to see. Around the world, we're celebrating 33 years now that people are still talking about roots. Why? Because it hit a certain chord inside of them that said, I identify with that. Now, I may not have been a slave, but my people or my life has suffered some sort of slavery and injustice that I've had to overcome. And this movie represents that. It touches that chord. People wanted to know about what's going on, what happen. You know, for a long time, I know that, no one was talking about it. But all of a sudden, this show hits, right? And you could not, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night that week, you could not get a bus anywhere. Everybody, the bars are packed.
Everybody.
People were watching this.
To this day, it's the third highest rated show
Isn't that
in TV
amazing?
history.
That's got to tell you something. So we got to, I like to see, my want is that we share it with the children, yes, in schools.
Right.
Yes, we're coming up on what we call Black History Month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my want is that we sit around the tables and talk about the slaves, talk about those letters that the slaves wrote, talk about the crossing. This is our Holocaust that we're talking about. This is the Black Holocaust that we're talking about. And the only reason why we do not have, you see, Hitler's Holocaust with the Jews, my Jewish brothers and sisters, is the fact that his ego was so big, he filmed everything. We didn't have film at that time, didn't have film. So.
That's what made the show so compelling, is that you read about it in high school, you read about it in grammar school, but there were words. Mm-hmm. You saw it. You saw it in color on your TV, and it was the first time anything like that ever happened. And that's what made it so fascinating, especially for a young mind like mine, a kid in grammar school, to see it in color, and to see this, to see your performances, Chicken George, to see Kunta Kinte and OJ as Kunta Kinte's father, which is, people don't realize OJ Simpson was in Roots.
Yeah, he wasn't his father.
What did he play?
He played the runner.
Oh, right, okay, that was right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I just I can't imagine what it was like at the time being you while that was airing. Did people were the people angry about it? Did you get hate letters? What was it like being you then?
Well, for me, I was so wrapped up in the piece, in the role. I can remember scenes where there was, Richard Roundtree, who played a role in the he's dating my mother, who's played by Leslie Uggams, Kizzy. And she goes back to look at her slave, the tombstone of Kunta Kinte, and she writes Kunta, and and she's coming back home now. The slave master has he stayed out a little bit too long, Richard Roundtree, and so he's going to beat him. And I remember Richard saying to the director, he said, "You have one," because he had to grovel. And and this is now we're talking about, Shaft, and Shaft looks at Richard looks at the director and says, "You have one shot at this," and he gets down and grovels. And there was tears all over the place. And after it was shot, the director said, "Cut, wrap, we're going home." But it was like moments like that all through the production. And, when it aired, you got to understand, ABC got threats. If you show this, we're going to bomb your studios. But they went ahead and they showed it. And I remember I stayed home that entire week watching it, with the rest of America, just not knowing what was going to happen, because there were so many threats coming out about the show, and about, people were really upset about it. But I found out that people were really enthralled with it. I ended up at the American Music Awards with Merv Griffin, because my friend Freddie Prince, who left us too soon, and they asked me to cover for him because he died. And so I came down to the show, and I'm backstage with Merv Griffin, and Merv turns to me and he goes, "Congratulations." I said, "Well, thank you." He says, "I really like the show." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much." I'm nervous. So the curtain goes up and there's a standing ovation. So I turn to Merv thinking it's for Merv. I'm applauding Merv, and Merv says, "No, that's for you." And I had no idea how we had really affected the world. And it blew my mind. It was like, wow. And it's still, the ripple is still going on today. Because the story needs to be told. We just celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday.
Yesterday.
And I say, my thing is, we got the holiday, but I think we lost the dream. And we got to get back to the dream. And the dream was for all people.
How do you think Martin Luther King would have felt today if he was alive to see President Obama, who you actually performed?
All that's good. All that's good, yes. But people have got to stop looking at Obama like he is the change. We are the changers to make the change. We voted for change, so we've got to make the change within ourselves, towards one another, to make this thing work.
Because it is kind of a disappointment to see all that excitement when President Obama dissipate across the board.
Yes, exactly. And it's not him. It's us, people. It's we, the people. You know, we're the ones to make the change. And so, I mean, maybe we're upset with ourselves because we have not made the change. Change is a scary thing, isn't it? You know, but I think Martin Luther King would have been proud, but he would have, and also you got to understand something. If Martin Luther King was alive today, things would have been different, and probably Obama would have gotten sooner, or someone like Obama. But I think that things would have been quite different because the world would have been in a different place at this particular time.
Right. You know, you look at the world today, and there are times you think, you know what, maybe we have it figured out. And then there are other times when you think we're starting back at square one. You know, it can be quite a disappointment. You look at the shootings in Arizona, how sad that is. And you hear things like the Tea Party and such division in the country. And you've always been a champion of equality and human rights. Does it inspire you on a creative sense when you see the world like this?
All we are saying is give love a chance. All we are saying is give love a chance. That's all we want.
That's
all
great.
We want. It's not what you want.
That's
you want to give love a chance. Let's give love a chance.
We have a question. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, Cake Smack wants to know, does Ben think there are any changes that need to occur with the African-American youth of today?
Well, I think it's not only the African-American youth. I think it's youth in general. You know, it's about us encouraging them to, you know, to be all that they can be. And once again, let's give love a chance. Show them the keys to love. And it's not just the African-American youth. It's all youth, because they're the ones that are going to carry the banner onward. How do you want to carry the banner? It's going to be a blood-stained banner, or it's going to be a wonderful, colorful banner of all people.
Would you like to see a remake of Roots?
We've done it. We've done Roots. You know, now it's time to learn from Roots, and take that message and say that this is equality. This is for all people.
What stands out? Like I said earlier, you've done so many things. I mean, we could talk all day about your accomplishments, from winning a Tony Award for Pippin, Jesus Christ Superstar, countless TV appearances, all the things you've done. What to you stands out the most?
Employment.
But haven't
I know. Stop.
Does Ben Vereen
But, you know,
ever look for work? I mean, is there ever?
Yes,
more,
we all look for work.
I can't believe that.
Why are you doing this?
I'm promoting.
Because your passion is in it.
I'm promoting. But believe me, I don't get paid much for that.
No, your passion is in it.
Yeah.
So and this
to meet
this
people
will
like
give you more
though.
work, you know, and it gives you opportunity to work. Right?
Yeah.
In our work, we find our passion. You know, so I love my work, and I'm blessed to be able to do what I do, and I'm blessed to be able to sit here talking to you about it. This is a blessing for me.
It all
billions of
excites you.
people we're talking to around the world. I can't even speak your language, but I know one thing: love is what we got. Thank you for tuning in.
You look just like Ben Vereen.
I feel like Ben Vereen.
We
feels good.
we have another question. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, Meadows would like to know, what was it like working with Bob Fosse, and who out there is like him today?
No one's like him today. And it really, I want them to be themselves. Bob Fosse was Bob Fosse. There cannot be another Bob Fosse. There could be a Bob Fosse. And Bob Fosse was genius in his own right. And he gave us genius work. He left his signature, his footprints along the sands of life. Now, somebody else, leave your footprints along the sand of life. You know, and I hope you inspire somebody to do just that.
You grew up in an era where there was a lot of racism.
Oh God!
You grew up in Brooklyn.
I feel so old. I grew up.
No, you're not old. Actually,
Yes,
you look great. And you know what? To be honest, what are you? 64?
I'm 64.
That is not old. That's like the new 30.
64. I can't wait to get to 65 and get my perks, people. I can't wait. you know, give me my credits. Give me my props.
I hope there's money there. I hope there's some money in the account. Once you experience racism, I'm sure it's something that sticks with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but you know what I look at it? It's their problem. It's not mine.
You're able to overcome it. Like there's not moments that
I've had
you're bitter.
I've had to learn to see the bitterness is getting caught up in that madness. That's their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting caught up in their stuff. Now, it may take you out, yeah, but that's still their stuff.
Right.
But as long as you stay in the love factor, listen, we talk about love, we build churches and synagogues and mosques, all dealing with the fact that we're praising a God or Allah or Buddha or Elohim or Yahweh, Jesus, who talks about love, the message of love. God is love. So if I stay in that vortex of love, that's their issue. That's not my issue. But once I get wrapped up in that conversation, it becomes our issue, and we start dealing with it one-on-one. But I've had people to fight the good fight for me to stand here and talk about the importance of love of all people. And so I can't let Martin Luther King down. I can't let Gandhi down. I can't let Howard Thurman down. I can't let these wonderful voices of our time, go unheard.
You're a great spokesman. You're a great spokesman for peace, for civil rights, for just humanity. Do you ever feel like that should just be your cause, that you should take that
No.
take that line and just travel the world, be the next Martin Luther, or be a spokesperson?
No,
or
there's Martin Luther.
Is
it
it too much?
There's other people who can do it much better than I. I want to be in my little corner of the world, I want to stand for love.
Did you ever get pressure from the black community saying Ben Vereen should do more? Ben Vereen should be doing this for us. Ben Vereen isn't doing enough. Or do you feel you get love and people feel...
I've been through the flames.
Yeah.
I've been through the flames on both sides of the table. From black people, from white people. I've been through the flames. And once you've been through the flames, you realize at the end of the day, all that matters is the love at the end of the day. Because no matter what you go through,
right,
when it's time to close those eyes and you think about your life and
right,
at the end of the day, what did it all matter?
But it shapes who we are.
Yes,
it's made you
so
who you are.
How are you going to shape your life?
Me? By talking to you, because you're an inspiration. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do.
Love thy neighbor.
What were the flames? You mentioned the flames. Can you tell me what are the flames? When
you got to read my book.
Is it you're writing a book now about your life?
Book, yes.
I was just saying before the show, what a great movie the Ben Vereen story would be.
Oh, thank you.
When are we is it after the book or before?
It'll be afterwards.
Who would you like to play the part of Ben Vereen?
Oh, gee, I don't know.
Usher?
I don't know. Usher's been talking about it, but I don't know.
Jesus Christ Superstar. I hear that soundtrack, and sometimes for weeks or months I can't get the songs out of my head. I'm a huge fan of that musical.
Thank you.
It's been almost 30 years, right, since you performed it on Broadway?
Yeah.
Early 70s?
Tom O'Horgan. We must give tribute to, give him his props. Tom O'Horgan. We had 4 hit shows on Broadway at the same time. He had Lenny, Inner City Mother Goose, Hair, and Jesus Christ Superstar. He brought me back to do that particular show, and I was up against a guy who's a good friend of mine named Carl Anderson, who did the movie, and an amazing voice, and I was with Jeff Finhold and Yvonne Elliman, and then I got Teddy Neely, whom I discovered, and brought him into the show. So it was a wonderful experience, that particular show.
And you got ill and didn't.
Carl
came back and took it, but then you
guys
guys started going back and forth and
Exactly.
alternating the role, if I remember
And
correctly.
then I got Pippin. So
and then the rest is history.
Yes.
Jesus Christ Superstar. When I hear that song,
Christ.
Go ahead. Can you?
Superstar. When you come on February 18th at Town Hall, I'm doing my show at 8:00 at night. So those of you who are
in New York City,
So if you want to come from overseas, please come. It's on the 18th of February, and I end the show. I pay tribute to those shows, such as Jesus Christ Superstar, Hair, and Pippin, and all those shows. Because they're part of me, and it's an evening of celebration.
Scott, my sound engineer, he had never heard Jesus Christ Superstar before.
Really?
And I sent him a clip. Do we have a clip that we can play? Oh, we don't have the clip, actually.
You want to try one more
You want to try and play it?
Oh, I want to
give it a try.
Every time I look at you, I don't understand.
Keep going. Don't stop.
It's so out of hand. You'd have managed better if you had a plan. Woo, woo, woo.
You know, we don't need the clip. We got Ben here. That's good enough for me. I still get chills. I literally get chills when I hear that.
It was a great show. And it was a time when that was another one when people were going blasphemy. But what we were talking about once again is love. Once again is love.
But it was pushing the boundaries back then. People, I mean, it was just you were mocking the Catholic Church in a lot of people's mind.
Catholic Church.
How did the Pope feel about it? Did the Pope have a problem with it?
Well, I don't know. He never came to the show, so I don't know. I never talked to him about it, but but I don't know.
Those are wild times. Pippin were wild times. You won a Tony for Pippin. I was reading some of the reviews from back then, and a lot of critics said it was the perfect performance. Was it the perfect performance? Are you a perfectionist? Or was there room for improvement?
Bob Fosse was a perfectionist. And Bob would not let you. Did you see the movie All That Jazz?
Of course.
Okay, we know in the scene where he's talking to Jessica Lange and he holds up a rose. He says, "I look at a rose," and Rod Steiger. He said, "I look at a rose," and I say, "How did you do that? And why can't I do it?" That's the way he'd work, and he'd worked us that way to reach for our best. And so what you saw was really a product of Bob Fosse.
What did he mean to your career? What influence did he have on your career?
Oh, everything. He and Tom O'Horgan, I must say, the two people who really touched my life deeply. Tom gave me the freedom, because Tom was like a Michelangelo. You bring him a marble, and he'd see the David. He'd cut away the excess. Bob saw the David and gave it perfection.
We have a clip of Pippin. Can we play the clip? Want to look at Pippin?
Okay,
How long has it been? When was the last
Pippin.
time you saw you starring in Pippin? Last time you saw a clip?
Not too long ago. People show it all the time. And what's so wonderful, the people love the show. It's been played in high schools and colleges. Kids come up to me all the time saying, "Oh, I did Pippin. I played the leading player, and she played, Fastrada." And I said, "Wow."
I'm telling you, I remember as a kid watching
Thank you,
those
Stephen
commercials.
Schwartz. Thank you, Stephen.
Do we have the clip? Go ahead.
Oh.
Here it comes.
Join us. This is Jules Fisher's lighting.
Join us, leave your fields to flower. Join us, leave your teas to sour. Join us, come and waste an hour or two. To lead to journey to a spot exciting, mystic and exotic. Journey through our anecdotic review. We've got magic to do just for you. We've got miracle plays to play. We've got parts to perform, hearts to warm, kings and things to take by storm as we go along our way.
Look at you.
Wow, look at that kid.
You could do that today.
Look
at the
that
shape you're in.
kid. He was such a kid.
How old were you then?
About 28, I think I was.
Wow.
Look at that kid. 26.
They say Gene Kelly was hard to work with.
Gene Kelly was wonderful. He was wonderful to work with. I worked with Gene, and he was wonderful. We were going to do a show called Louie for Broadway, and of course, things happened and it didn't work out. But Gene Kelly was wonderful to work with.
People that have worked with him have said he was a perfectionist.
Yes.
Are you
Yes.
that time? If I'm dancing with you,
Yes.
if I stumble,
am
I going to hear it?
I want your best. I
Right.
want your best. I want your best, because I know what's inside of you. If I hire you to do something, I'm looking not at what I see, but not only what I see, but what I don't see, which is your spirit, which is coming through in your dancing and your movement, and I'm reaching for that inside of you, and you allow me to. I can't make you a great dancer, as Bob says, but I'll make you a better dancer.
Are people intimidated by you? When people dance with Ben Vereen, it's got to be a scary thing.
I hope not. I hope not.
We talked about the highlights of your career, but your life hasn't always been perfect.
No.
There's been tragedy.
Yes.
There's been sad times. I remember reading about the death of your daughter.
Yes.
How I can't even imagine how a parent
May you
copes
never, may you
with
never,
losing a child.
May you never.
There's no recovering
May
from
you
that.
never. No, no. And you learn to live with it. There's a hollow place in your heart that can never be fulfilled. And you know that's them right there with you at all times. And you live with that, because a parent is not supposed to bury their child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the child is supposed to bury their parent. And when that happens, when it happened for me, I became angry with the Creator. You know, what I dare you take away from me that what you've given me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't want to get into that, but I know how each one of those parents, because I've been with parents who have lost their children at a too younger age, and the pain is just unbearable. But you know something, you know that you've got to be thankful for the period of time that they spent with you. I had 16 glorious years with my child, 16 glorious years that I was allotted to spend with her, to breathe her air, to just feel her breath upon my face, to touch her skin in that body form, you know, and her spirit now is free to go on and do what it's going to do. But I had 16 wonderful years, and that stays with me and, you know, with all of us forever.
How long did it take you to reconcile that, to be able to put it in that kind of perspective?
In a place, it took a while. And for each person and each parent out there, if you're going through something like that, do not rush it. There'll come a day when you'll be able to say, oh, I can exhale, because you'll feel, for me, it was feeling her brush against me in the wind and feeling her touch me. It was sort of a dream when I was laying down one night and I had this dream that she was going away to summer camp.
Right. And we handle the pain differently. I saw my father lost his daughter, my sister, and I watched him age 10 years overnight. Saw his face collapse.
Yes, sure.
When it happened.
Sure.
When it happened to you, you talk about this, that you turned to alcohol.
I turned to alcohol, I turned to drugs, but that was before then. You know, look, I'm a product of the 60s. Come on. I survived the 60s. You know, I mean, come on, alcohol and drugs, that was the 60s. That was our battle call, you know.
But it's one thing to do it.
I mean, everybody was doing it. Come on, I bet you were doing it too. I bet some of you out there at Woodstock, you know, you're going like, oh no, I'm corporate today. No, they were at Woodstock. I know these guys. And, you know, everybody was doing it during the 60s. And so when that happened, of course, when the body goes through a psychological shift like that, pain, you self-medicate. You don't want to feel it, but you're going to have to deal with it one day. You're going to have to dig down there and deal with that, sit with that pain and embrace that pain, because inside that pain is your strength. Inside that fear, when you embrace it, is your strength to go on the next day and the next and the next. And you build on those moments. And finally, one day, you stand up and you say, I'm okay.
And you can perform. It's one thing to go to work. It's one thing to get up and go to your job. Your job is to make people happy. How do you do it?
It's all the same.
Right.
It's all the same. Just because my job is in front of millions of people doesn't make your job any different.
Right.
It's all the same pain. We're all going through the same pain. It's just got to get up, put one foot in front of the other.
What was the turning point where you said, I got to stop drinking, I got to stop doing drugs, I got to change? I mean, I know you had that accident in California. It was a terrible accident, a terrible car accident, where you were in a wreck, stepped out of the car, and were hit by another car.
Yeah, well, actually, it was 3 accidents in one day. You know, I was driving a car and I hit a tree, hit my head on the roof of the car, damaging an artery to the brain. I was walking home later that morning, and I had a stroke and was hit by a truck. And David Foster, who's a friend of mine, was driving the car, and he didn't know who he had hit. And
the Hollywood producer.
I had met David, the record producer. I had met David about 2 or 3 years earlier, and I said, David, we should get together. You know, phone call would have been nice. But anyway, and boom, 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 bang. And so, but the wonderful thing about that David doesn't get, because he wrote a book, and he calls it The Hitman or something like that. But the thing
is he referring to you?
Yeah, I know. But I opened the book, right? And so I said, wow, David, you don't get it. What you don't get, what he doesn't get, I think he's feeling something angst about it. I don't know what it is. But every time we see him, he says, I don't understand why you didn't sue me. You could have taken everything. Why didn't you sue me? And I have to look him in the eye and say, David, you saved my life. David, when I was hit on the highway on PCH, David could have just taken off and nobody would have ever known. And I could have died.
Right.
But David, because he decided to stop, pick up his cell phone, call 911. Not only call
Most
911.
people would have left.
Wait a minute. Not only called 911, but stayed there and watched over me until the paramedics came.
Wow.
For this, I love you, man. For this, there is no dollar you can put on that. That's my life.
Wow.
And I thank you.
That's an amazing story. You know what? The movie should open. The book. That's how it should start, with you laying on the
Hitman
side of the road.
Hitman 2. I Hitman 2.
That's such an incredible story. And you told.
It's true. It's
and this
true.
was in
It is true.
2006.
It is true. It's true. This was in 2009.
Nine,
and
right.
you know, so I went through all that thing, and I came through it, and I went through the whole drug thing and alcohol thing, and still couldn't, because you know, when you're an addicted person, you go through a period of, like, you know, the system, you know, it cries out for something to mask the pain, to mask the issues that you don't want to deal with in life. But one day, the smaller self has to bow down to the greater self inside of you and say, I surrender. And I'm coming out with both hands up. And on that day, that's the day you're liberated and you never look back. And I'm calling for all those who have ever been there. One day, hear my voice. One day, you'll bow down to the greater you and say, I surrender all. Because you are greater than I am. You are the one that's kept me all this time. And so therefore, I am yours, and obviously you are mine.
Clean and sober today.
Clean and sober.
Do you go to meetings?
Oh, yes, I go to meetings. Of course, I love the meetings. And I encourage those who are having a issue to go to a meeting and just sit down and listen to what the guys and the gals have to say. You know, it's important. It's important for your life. You know, I know we call it Alcohol Anonymous, but there's nothing anonymous about it, because your anonymity kept you out of the rooms all this time. So, you know, so come on, people, wake up.
What a story.
Wake up.
What a story. Why don't you have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
I didn't want one.
You got to pay for it, right? You have to buy it yourself.
Buy a star,
Isn't it like
man?
$20,000 to
Yes,
get your own
ridiculous. Why
star?
You buy a star. I'm a walking star. So you know,
You should have
see
a
my
star, though.
No, no.
How does
man.
Ben Vereen
No,
not have a star?
no. I just want to continue doing what I do. I want to touch people's lives. I want to help people. I want to serve. You know, we do a thing in Los Angeles. There's a company called Hearts of Compassion out there, Pastor Eric, and he encouraged a young man by the name of Larry Washington, who's a great drummer, who comes out to my spiritual center in Los Angeles called the Angels of Love on Washington Boulevard, 5838 Washington Boulevard in Culver City. And what we do is we go out and we feed the people. You know, there are hungry people right in your hometown, right here in New York City. There are thousands of people who are going to bed hungry tonight. Well, what we do is we feed them. We serve them. Pastor Eric has a system where we bring people together, and every Wednesday and every Tuesday and Wednesday he feeds people. We're starting a center called entree.com, where people come to us and we feed them. Not only are we
Entree, O-N-T-R-E-Y,
yes,
entree.
not only are we going to feed you, we're going to give you the tools on how to get a job, and give you clothes to go out and find a job. You know, so we're working with the people. It's about service. It's about servitude. That's the S on my chest.
Such a good guy. It makes me, you know what?
Such a good
Hanging
guy.
out with
Such a
you
good
makes me
guy.
feel like
Such a good guy.
You know, I see the evilness in me when I talk to you. I realize how rotten I am.
But you know,
I don't do anything for anybody.
But you know something? You know, when we focus on the evil, it becomes
Right.
evil. If you focus on the good, it becomes good. So,
Yeah.
you know, your choice in life.
This is my good deed. Interviewing you and having people listen to your inspirational words is my gift to the world.
Well, thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
Yeah.
And I want them to come. And also, as I said, my CD is called
That's
Stepping
my
Out
next
Live
question.
with Ben
Stepping
Vereen.
Out Live.
We recorded at Hartford in Hartford Stage in Connecticut, and it's dropping on February 15th. It's what it is. It's songs from my show. People have been asking me for years, when are we going to have a CD? When are we going to have a CD? So now we have it, and it's called Stepping Out Live.
How many songs?
There's 13 songs, I think. 13, 12 songs.
The classics, the ones that we know, the ones that we want.
And try to do a tribute to Sammy Davis, do a tribute to
Which you
Frank
do a
Sinatra.
one-man show about. Don't you? I mean, you actually
Yes,
do
yeah,
a
I
tribute
do
to
it.
Sammy.
Yeah, it's called Ben Vereen Sings the Music of Sammy Davis Jr. with Symphony Orchestra. It's an amazing show.
Can you do something? Can I hear you do Sammy?
No,
while you're
I don't
here?
do Sammy.
Do it,
Yo,
but
Sammy Davis. I don't do Sammy.
What's one of his songs that you do?
I'm in love and don't I know it, but a fool can. I'm in love and don't I know it, but a fool can have his charms. I'm in love and don't I show it, like a babe in arms. Love's the same sad situation. Lately I've not slept a wink, since this half-pint imitation has me on the blink. I'm wild again, beguiled again, a simpering, whimpering child again. I am bewitched, bothered and bewildered. Am I? That's one of his songs.
That is so great.
That old
You should be on American Idol.
Oh, please. I thought I was an idol.
Now that I hear myself saying that, you could be, a guest star on American
Idol. I messed
Idol.
up the top of that song, but you get the idea.
Well, I was going to say it sounded like you messed it up. I didn't want to embarrass you on the air, but I said, he's a little off.
No, he's a little off there. Those lyrics are kind of not quite right.
What do you think of American Idol?
I love it. I love a place where anywhere in our country we're cultivating the arts. I love it. And it gives people an opportunity. We see how much talent there is in this country.
But what about the judging process? Is it too rough on the kids? I mean, could you imagine yourself at 15 or 16 going up on stage and facing a Simon Cowell?
I did. Each one of my teachers was Simon.
And
what they did for me is they reached, and what it did for me, I had a choice. I could take the criticism and wallow in it and believe it. Or I could flip it and say, I'll show you, and go to work and then come back again and knock your socks off.
What was the toughest crowd you ever played in front of? Was there ever a time
this crowd is pretty tough right here.
These guys these guys
are tough crowd. This is a tough crowd.
I got to face these guys every week.
God.
You imagine having to do a show and look at this? This is the hardest. I do the hardest show in show business. Literally, this is rough. Ask Shauna a question. See if you get a response. She won't get anything.
Yes.
Go ahead. Shauna, say something.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, darling. How are you?
Yes. Gregory Hines.
Beautiful man and a good friend. It's because of Gregory that I'm back doing what I do. I was in 92 when I had the accident. I was at Kessler in New Jersey rehabilitating. And on my birthday, I wanted to see what I used to do, and I came in on canes. I just had my second operation on my spinal cord, and I was in bad shape.
You couldn't walk.
I couldn't walk. I could. But at Kessler, they got me walking. They got me moving. I went to see Jelly's Last Jam with Savion Glover and all those wonderful players there, and then of course Gregory. And at the end of the show, Gregory came out and he introduced me, and tears are going down. I got this neck brace on, and the next thing I know. Pam Coslow, who was one of the producers and his wife at the time, came out and asked my manager, when will he be ready? She asked Pam Cooper, I said, when will he be ready? And she said, why? She said, well, Gregory says if he can be ready by April 3rd, that he could have the part of the Chimney Man, which was being played by another actor at the time. And so I went back to Kessler. And I told him I had a trach. I couldn't talk. I had a trach.
Wow.
I had to I wanted to do this show. And they went down, they saw the show, and they came back and said, we can do this. And we went to work. I met a woman named Mary Jean Liederbach and Dr. Bill Riley, who worked with my vocal cords. It got my voice back together. That's the voice you hear today. And Mary Jean Liederbach got me moving again. And Jerry Lewis was my therapist. They worked with me. And what was so beautiful about the
Jerry
crew,
Lewis?
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something about what's beautiful about the crew, about the stagehands. I loved them. When they found out I was coming to the show, they knew I couldn't climb the stairs. Right. So what they did was they built me a dressing room right on stage, so I would not have to climb the stairs every day. This is called, this is what the crew does. This is what the people who hold up, but you don't see behind the scenes. They're the ones holding up the stage, and that's what they did for me. And I love all you guys for that, and ladies.
I couldn't believe that Gregory Hines, we lost him so soon.
Yes, too soon.
Amazing to me.
Yes, but you know who he gave it off to? Savion Glover. Watch that kid.
Another great. You know what? You're right. I stand corrected. When I said you were the last, I stand corrected. You're right. I wasn't thinking of him. It reminds me a lot of a young Ben Vereen, of a young Gregory Hines. So have you danced with him?
Who can dance with Savion Glover?
You can. You're Ben Vereen.
No.
Oh my
God!
God!
Have you seen this kid?
I've seen
He's all spirit. He's all spirit. The rhythms that come out of his feet are unbelievable and unmatched. He's an amazing one to carry on the legacy. Amazing. And Gregory and when I went to see Gregory to say goodbye to him, there was Save Young Glover looking at his feet and touching his feet and saying, "You gave me everything."
Wow.
Everything. And he did. He gave that kid everything.
And you were there when Gregory Hines was in the hospital.
I was there. Last time I saw Gregory, I was in Canada. He was shooting a film called Red Sneakers.
Okay.
And then I didn't know he was ill. And I kept calling him. It isn't like Gregory not to return my calls.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing I heard, I got a call from a friend that he had made his transition. And so we celebrate the life of Gregory Hines today and every day, as all the great icons before have gone on to pave the way for a lot of the young performers today. And I hope that they recognize that and stand tall and hold up your banner, because we pay dearly for what you're carrying today.
Michael Jackson.
Gone too soon. Gone too soon. Much too soon. And please remember the music and the words of what the man had to say. We can save the world, if we just give it a chance. We got to look in the mirror, be the man in the mirror, and make a difference in the world. Had we allowed him to continue to say what he had to say, I think we would have changed a lot of things going on in the world today, because he was starting with the children. And never mind what they were saying, all that crap and stuff.
That bothered you?
Terribly, because none of it was true. None of it was true. This man loved young people. He loved children, and he wanted to make a difference in the world for them. And so if we want to pay tribute to him, it's not by buying his T-shirts and buying the CDs. Go out and make a difference in the world, and that's paying tribute to Michael Jackson.
Did you ever get to meet him?
Yes. Yes, I know the family.
Well,
yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you had to be shocked. You had to be beyond shocked.
Yes.
When he died.
Yes. Very hurt. I was very hurt, and I'm still waiting for somebody to say we're sorry.
When you say sorry, you're talking about the doctor.
I'm talking about not only the doctor,
family.
I'm talking about the people who put him through all the ridicule that made him hide, that made him, go away.
Do you think it
from
was the
himself.
allegations about his relationship with children that killed him?
Whatever it was, somebody say we're sorry. Whatever it was, because he gave us so much. He gave us his entire life for us, to entertain us. I mean, it was beyond. It's beyond.
It was awful. But it gets to a point, though, Ben. Don't you agree? When with all his talent and his ability, just don't go down that road. Just don't put yourself in a position to get, in trouble.
You know what? This is life. This is life, and if you're gonna walk on eggshells, you're never gonna live your life.
Right.
You see, so you're gonna get knocks anyway.
Right.
Just live your life and don't hurt anybody. Right. Don't hurt anybody. There are many trails to the top of the mountain. Pick a trail and walk upright in it. That's all.
That the media today, we look for all the bad, right?
Let's try to look for the good. Let's look for the good, because if we look for the good, we'll find the good, and the good will overpour and overflow everything, and we'll see things differently. I believe.
Not only.
That's just my opinion.
There's so many things I want to ask you, but we're running out of time. But I don't want you to go without first talking to you about what you're doing today. Besides the CD and besides Town Hall, New York, you're also doing TV shows like How I Met Your Mother.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Wayne Brady's father.
Yeah, which is a riot.
Yes, wonderful. It's fun.
Shows like that, it exposes you to a new generation of fans.
Yes.
Is that why you do it? Is it just for the paycheck? Is it what inspires you to do shows like that now? Is it just so people that maybe wouldn't know you can now have a chance to see you?
Yes, that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of it. Also, it's a lot of fun. Work with Wayne Brady and all the cats. It was fun. It's fun. I'm blessed to be able to do what I'm doing.
Grey's Anatomy,
and Grey's Anatomy, and all those shows. That I get an opportunity to be on those shows, and people get a chance to see me and see my work, and I get to entertain them in some form. And that's the blessing that is bestowed upon me. And so thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
When's this book coming out, Ben?
It'll be out. It's being written now.
Are you writing it yourself?
Yeah, I'm writing it with someone else. But yeah, it's going to be out. It's
going to make us cry, isn't it?
Well,
it's a tear. I can tell already. It's going to be a tearjerker.
Well, there's a lot to it.
Your whole life, everything from the beginning.
Not my whole life. But there'll be some interesting things.
I can't wait to. And when do you think that will be out?
In a couple of years.
A couple of years. We got to wait a couple of years.
Yeah, about a year.
Really? I'm going to write a book before then.
You
I'll write a book
probably
about
will.
your life. I know enough about you now, but I can write your life story.
Anybody can write a book about me. They probably will.
And I do think there's going to be a movie about you one day. I really do think that.
Thank you. Well, I just want to continue doing what I'm doing, and thank you for allowing me to do what I do and entertain you, and that's what it's all about. And through all the trials and tribulations that we all go through, the idea is if you see me standing, know that you too can stand.
My last question, Ben, how would you like to be remembered? 100 years from now, when we're all gone, everyone in this room is gone, and we watch Roots, we see, clips from Pippin, we see all the things that you've done, we read about you, and we read your book, and we watch the movie about memory. How would you like the world to remember you?
Ooh, that's how would I like the world to remember me? That's kind of, I don't know. I just let the world remember me the way they will remember me. I'm just going to continue doing the work, and hopefully my work will speak for the way they will remember me.
Do you think you'll always be tied to Roots, Chicken George? Is that something that in a way you wish you could pull away from?
No, that's part of my work, and I'm proud of it. And there are there's Chicken George, there's Leading Player, there's all these characters I've been involved with in my life, and each person is different for everyone that they'll remember me by, and I'm not gone anywhere. I've got more to do, so I'll be around.
You look great. You look better than me. I mean, you look incredible.
I got a lot more to give you.
You work out? How do you stay?
Yes, and
64.
Well, and it's an interesting thing that I was diagnosed with diabetes in 07, and I called a company called Sanofi Aventis, and I told them, I said, I want to talk out about diabetes, the good aspects of it. I want people to know. They put me on insulin right away, and my doctor, they gave me because there's horror stories around living with diabetes. Because I remember when I was doing Webster, I played his uncle who lived with diabetes, and everyone was like, "Oh, why do you have those needles? You're a junkie," that sort of thing. Because that's what it was compared to. But no, it's not. Diabetes is not a death sentence. It is a life-giving sentence. If you listen, if you talk to your doctor, change your eating habits. Exercise,
Can you reverse it?
You can reverse it, to a certain degree. You can, but the idea is to learn to live with it and watch it go away from our lifetime. Now, type 1, they're with it for their lives. So therefore,
that's when children are born with it.
But if we begin to take the horror out of it, then people will begin to embrace it and realize that this is not a death sentence. This is a life sentence. It's not that we have a challenge. We have an opportunity for better health. And so you live in that vein. You don't suffer with diabetes. We're living with diabetes.
But who's healthier than you? If you get diabetes, I'm a goner. Like
Exactly.
Who's healthier than Ben Vereen?
Exactly.
How did you get diabetes?
Exactly. I didn't see the signals. I did
Which
not
one?
notice it. Well, urinating a lot, dry mouth, thirsty a lot all the time.
I'm getting thirsty just talking about it.
And eating a lot of. I found myself craving sugars like crazy. Didn't know why. What was going on. I found myself lethargic, sitting around. I love to go to dance class and work. I didn't want to go to dance class. I wanted to work out. I said, "What's going on?" Finally, I passed out and I went to the doctor. My daughter took me to the doctor, and they said, "We got you got to stay overnight. And we'll test your blood sugar." And Christmas Day, they came and said, "You have type 2 diabetes." That was my Christmas gift, and it was a gift because it was my warning signal that you can have a long, healthy life if you do the right thing. So therefore, if I said, let me get out on the road, and so I started an organization called Stand for Diabetes. Start taking action now for diabetes.org. You can go on my website and you can see, and we ask you to make a pledge that you will take care of your diabetes and that you'll talk about it. Let's get it out into the open, people. Begin to talk about it.
I'm such a hypochondriac. Just hearing you talk about it, I'm sure I have diabetes. Last time I had my sugar level tested, it was high.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ask the doctor how high?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was high. It wasn't diabetic, but it was high enough where they said you got to watch it because you're going to be a diabetic.
And what did you do?
I had a pizza.
What did you do? You went and got a pizza?
No. I actually went to a nutritionist.
All right. Went to a nutrition and what?
Yeah, they told me low carbs.
You change your eating.
Get rid of the carbs. Get rid of the carbs.
You change your eating habits. Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
So but I don't. But I did. But now I'm bad again.
Check this. If America and the world, because I think we have something like it's a ridiculous amount of people in America who are living with diabetes, like 24 million people, and
don't even know it.
Are going. No, 6 million don't know it.
Right.
24 million know it. And every minute or something like that, somebody else is diagnosed with diabetes, and the obesity problem is raising the number of type 2 very high.
Right.
Now, we got America to change the eating habits and to exercise. Imagine what a healthy country we'd have.
Yeah, well, I got to exercise. I'm nervous. I got to start dancing. I got to start dancing and singing. I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah, come on the 18th. We'll get you started.
I'm going to come to the show. I do want to come to the show.
Please do.
Ben, can I tell you, you are a great man,
Thank
and
you.
it was an honor talking to you.
The honor was mine. And
This wasn't
thank
bad,
all
was
of you
it?
people out there for streaming. What is it called? Streaming?
What are we doing? We're
What are we
streaming,
call-
right?
we're
There's a web
we're
TV show.
streaming.
We're streaming. We're screaming.
screaming.
And
And thank you for tuning in and watching us on this plat thing here. And I love you all. I really do.
you were amazing. Thank you again. God
pleasure.
bless you, and you're going to be around for the next 100 years.
You can count on it.
I know it. All right. Ben Vereen, everybody.
And the audience went wild.
Very good.